What's going on, everybody? It's Jeff here with Belite Podcast. Today, I have a special guest, my brother Frank.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How you been, brother?
I have been swell.
It's been a busy year for you, or
So far, but busy but good. I like to say busy. So busy isn't a negative thing to me.
right?
Yeah,
Man, but out of everybody, man, sometimes when I look at you, man, you're always just free flowing, like you easy going, and it's like every time I have a conversation with you, you always just there's a world inside of you, man. But and so when somebody wants to ask you, like, what do you do? What do you tell them? Because you probably do a lot of things, man. You just kind of
well, as far as like what do I do on a day-to-day basis,
or who is Frank?
Who is Frank?
And what is Frank stand for?
I have no idea. Frank is just to be frank, be straightforward. May I be frank?
Right.
So I look at life, it's not so much what we do, because a lot of people ask me, like, what do you do every day? And they want this regimented aspect of life. And life isn't a regimented aspect. It's not what I do, it's how I feel about what I do. All right. Now, there are days I don't feel like doing it. Right. And sometimes that could be a sign for the universe, if you will, and I'll get into how we have a natural GPS in this internal guidance system.
Yeah.
Sometimes it wants us to do nothing based on the regimen that which we normally do, or sometimes I dipped in a frequency and I'm being what I call lazy.
Right.
So I have to discern what that is. So and I pretty much know it. I know when I'm being lazy, and sometimes I just throw in the towel, but it's rare. Because when I go to throw in the towel, I can't find the damn thing. Karen lights it on me.
Right.
Give me that towel. You gotta take the garbage out.
Right.
But this is a long journey, but a well worth one. And for me, like for some people, like hearing your story, like something happened, bam, you wake up. For me, it was a long, steady walk up a stairway up a mountain. Wow. And day by day by day by day, now I reach this tipping point to where nothing gets me off kill. Like if it does, I laugh at it.
Right.
But it wasn't like overnight. It wasn't like, and I don't know why. I don't know why this happened with me. But I've interviewed people that would have this one amazing experience. But for me, it wasn't that way. It was just I was just tired of living, carrying the cross, so to speak, up the mountain. Wow. And learned to bear the cross and then put it down and realize what the meaning of that was. But it was this long journey. So, but I tell people about that. I'm like, we're not here to get it done because you're never going to get it done. Yeah. So that principle right there allows me to be relaxed.
Wow.
Yeah. Where I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
I can believe I'm not supposed to be here and create a disturbance in the now moment. But we're exactly where we're supposed to be. We just fool ourselves thinking we ought to be somewhere else and get distracted from the moment. But even when you get distracted from the moment, you're in the moment.
Right. You're very in the moment.
Yeah.
So that's so crazy, man, because, not a lot of people can understand that. They have to wake up to that, or they have to come to a whole different realization of themselves to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
But when people ask you what you do, Frank, you're an entrepreneur, man. Like you're an entrepreneur. You have your own business, and you also have your own podcast. You've written a book. Yeah, you've talked in front of people. You're a life coach. Those are the things you do. It doesn't really define.
Yeah, that's how I express myself. Yeah, because all these things you mentioned, I never thought I was going to do. It wasn't like I set out and had a goal. But it's not like I don't have goals. But now my goals are just to get in the state. So when I wake up in the morning, my goal is to say, I'm going to have an amazing day. And not in a cheesy way. I'm not going to let my system get down. Like I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, I feel tired. Man, did I get enough sleep? And all of a sudden when I start saying, I'm like, change the story. Yeah. You're waiting to see if you got enough sleep to be awake. And everyone, like I bring this up all the time. Like if someone's like, I'm tired. I'm like, it's a state of mind. Correct. Like, no, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm like, okay, let's play this scenario. Yeah. Say you got 2 hours of sleep, right? And because you know you got 2 hours of sleep, and based on all the studies, based on sleep studies, if you don't get 8 hours or so, if you're female, maybe 9 hours, whatever it may be, you're going to feel tired. Correct. So therefore, you buy into that belief. But then if I say after 2 hours of sleep, You wake up feeling groggy based on the belief onto it.
Yeah.
But I told you won the lottery. Are you going to go back to get bed and go to sleep? No, no, you're not. Yeah. Or if there was a fire in your house, you'd run out.
Yeah.
So you generate excitement. Had that happen? Well, I created a scenario, a situation that would allow me to wake up, such as winning the lottery or fire. And that was built into me.
Yeah.
Why do I only use those two items to wake up? And the best way to do it is just by allowing yourself, okay, so what? I have 2 hours. So what if I'm tired? Man. Who cares? Who cares? All of a sudden, the feeling of grogginess that we have starts to lift. And all of a sudden, I get my car and I go to the gym and I get the workout done. And like, wow. Now, if I'm like, oh shit, I only have 2 hours, I go back down again.
Yeah.
Because I'm defining what 2 hours means to me. So it's about redefining these things, not changing them, but redefining what it is we do, everything. So if I can redefine what good and bad is, I have a better chance of staying in a more positive, what we call positive cycle, or what I call wave recognition or pattern recognition. I can stay a more cohesive one that's rather than an interference one.
Yeah.
So I've learned to do that through experimenting with my own self.
Wow.
Yeah, haphazardly. I wasn't like, okay, I'm going to experiment today. I'm not going to sleep and,
Yeah, and, and now there's these things that, that is pretty right out there, and it's self-reflection, and it's, you have to visit yourself, inside yourself, to really get to know what that means, to get to know that language you're speaking right now, because not a lot of people, when people see this, they're like, oh my goodness, hold on, let me look within real quick. Wow, now I see what Frank is talking about.
Yeah, and there is fun, and there's different levels of understanding it.
Right.
And nowhere do I understand every level. I understand the level I'm at, and I understand the levels where I was. Yeah. So if you want to look at this, give it like a visual. Say you had a building, you own the building.
Correct.
And it's 150 stories.
Yeah.
And there's 2 sub-basements, right? Just throw it in there.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the basement, in the sub-basement, and say you're on the 10th floor of the building.
Yeah.
And we're communicating. And you're trying to explain to me what the city looks like from your viewpoint, but I'm in the second sub-basement. I'm below. All I could see is cinder block walls and perhaps an elevator or a doorway to a stairwell. That's all I could see. And if you're trying to explain to me what the city looks like from the 10th story, I'm going to be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
Now, if you don't understand them in the basement, we're going to argue.
Correct.
We're going to debate. And that's what happens all day long. But your viewpoint, my viewpoint aren't wrong. They're not in cohesive understanding because we're not in the same plane.
Right.
One isn't better than the other. But then we understand this. I can move anywhere up and down the building. So the fact that I realize I own the building, the basement isn't bad. It's just restrictive in view. Just like the 10-story building to some level is restricted in view compared to the 50th story.
Right.
Right. There's 150 stories in the building. But even if I go to the 150 story, the rooftop, it's restricted in the ability what I can do that I can do in the basement.
Yeah.
So when you realize you own the old building, it doesn't matter if you're on the 150 story or in the basement. It doesn't matter. You then get to choose where you want to go, and that's where the choice of what frequency I want. Like a great actor uses all myriads of frequency.
Correct.
Happy and sad. Okay, I don't want to ever be sad, so I'm only going to play happy roles. I'm like, good luck getting a job.
Yeah.
So we learn to define these things and then control them. It's not about getting rid of anger. It's like, how do I use anger? And I use anger because most people are trying to get rid of it.
Right.
How do I use sadness? How do I use all these emotions? Just like, how do I use the basement of the building I own?
Correct.
And and now that I own the building, I can go anywhere I want.
Yeah.
So now it's a preference. Where do I choose to go? And I might hang out in 150 story more often than none, but sometimes I have to go look for photos in the basement.
Wow. So, you've done a lot of things, and because you've decided to really tap into the actual frequency of believing that you're capable of accomplishing such a thing. You opened up a salon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about when you decided when you decided to say, you know what, I'm opening up this salon, like what kind of frequency you had to tap in for you to take action and open up this salon?
Yeah, for me, it was the next logical step. So that's why a lot of times too, and I'm going to use this, in reference to other people. Like a lot of people will look at somebody that's seemingly successful. Let's go for Elon Musk. All right. We're seeing him at the level in which we identify his success. He's already owned Tesla, and now he's got SpaceX and a myriad of other companies, right? Yeah. So we see him from that viewpoint, but we didn't see him through, if they do a documentary, you could see the whole documentary on it. Right. We're seeing him from that viewpoint. So when he goes from like owning Tesla and doing SpaceX and then buying Twitter or whatever companies he has, all of a sudden, if I'm like, oh my God, that would overwhelm me. I'm like, well, it was the next logical step for him.
Correct.
All right. Now, some people have different, some people could run faster than other people, and that's just the way it is. But if you want to shave a second off your time, and I shave a second off my time, we both accomplish a second off our time.
Right.
It doesn't mean I run as fast as you. All right. Now I can probably take you because you're a boot on.
Yeah.
But with that, that'll absurd when you're back in shape.
Yeah.
So it's not about comparing myself to somebody else. That's the problem. I'm not even comparing myself to yesterday. But yet there is something about knowing where you're moving, because the universe is always, one of the qualities of the universe is expansion. We have nothing to do with that as humans. Mm-hmm. We have no input in expansion. Yeah. Other than what direction do we want to expand? So when I deem a preferential way, like say I want to go west, all right, and I want to experience west. Well, if I head west, I'll just expand into west, period. Yeah. If I head east, I'll head into east. Yeah. But if I prefer west and I accidentally go east, that's going to be a negative expansion. It's still expanding. Right. Just like you could expand more into poverty, more into sickness, rather than more into health. Correct. So it's a physics problem, or a physics solution, I should say, rather than what to do. So if you understand the physics behind these modalities and ideologies, like any great movie you watch about somebody that made it big, what's the difference between them and somebody who didn't? They never stopped moving in a direction, period. Wow. But if you take any part of the movie and you stop the movie, it would be over. Right. They never stopped. They fell, they walked up the mountain, they tripped, they fell down. They just never stopped. And the question is, why would you stop? If God, this is how I would say, everyone lives to 100. Yeah. What are you stopping for? Like, why stop? And guess what? If you're, say you're 60 years old and you find that you're going to have only 5 more years, why would you even stop? Correct. So we all have a seemingly time on this planet, which we can push too, but I'm not here. We'll get into that later if we have to do that. Yeah. But why would you stop? If you've never stopped, you're going to achieve outward success, but that's not why you do it. Wow. So fulfillment is really what we want. Wow. Yeah. So do you feel like you feel fulfilled doing what you do now? Yeah. Oh yeah. Because you never stopped. But it's not necessarily what I do. But when I run my business, so if I'm running the business, that's one attribute. The other is when I'm actually working with a client. Yeah. That's another attribute. So my fulfillment when I'm working with a client, my working with clients is an expression of my fulfillment. Correct. My doing the process is not the fulfillment. Because if it was, and I like look at you, right? Your fulfillment, if you attach your fulfillment to working out and running, right, and then you do your motorcycle action, well, there goes my fulfillment, at least momentarily. Yeah. But that wasn't your really fulfillment. Your fulfillment is an energy field. So then what happens is the fulfillment doesn't go away. You just have to find another way to express your fulfillment in the meantime. So that's what people do is they work their whole life and they said, my work was my fulfillment. I'm like, no, don't give your work your fulfillment. Your fulfillment onto itself a fulfillment. Your work was in your expression of fulfillment. So you get to a point where you can't do that physical job anymore for some reason. Yeah. Or you tell them retire. Your fulfillment ought not to go away. But now you're going to express it differently. So wherever I'm at throughout the day, if I remember, I am fulfillment, I am excitement. Wow. This is my expression. And if I run into people, like I see someone on the street, I say hi, because I almost look at life as we're in a big movie set. And right now it's so I'm the star of my movie, you're the star of your movie. Yeah. And right now, you and I, to you, you're like a co-star to me. right? We're doing a little interaction right now. And then there might be some person I run on the street I'll never see again. Well, they're an extra in my movie. And therefore, I'm an extra in theirs. Wow. So I pay them homage like I'm on a movie set.
So before you do anything, you have to already embody the feeling that you will get if you did that.
If you don't, it feels like you're on a movie set without the script, and you have no idea what's happening. So now you're disrupting the movie,
right?
And that's what a lot of people do, and that's what insanity really is. So, but it's like we come here, like little insane individuals, like when we were children, running around, and then somehow through courses of doing this and seeing how that works and doing that, and then all of a sudden, at some point, we think, okay, I'm happy when I'm climbing trees, or I'm happy when I'm working out, because it's so tightly wound, we start to fool ourselves. And I'm like, no. When you really fully examine, I was happy, therefore I climbed the tree. And the tree was the expression. But then the doing actually perpetuates the happiness. It keeps it going. So I'm not by any means trying to find myself happy sitting on a couch, unless I'm watching a really wonderful movie, or perhaps this podcast. Little plug there.
Man, well, let's take a little cut real quick, and then we'll be back here with Frank, guys. All right. Boom. And we are back.
Where did we go?
We never left. But man, so Frank, brother Frank.
Yes.
It's every time we catch up, man, you're always locked in on your way, man, on your way of life. The way you see life is just, you're always locked in, man. It's so hard to maintain a certain mindset, because in this world, we always just face unnecessary things that clouds our mind, which doesn't help us.
It distracts us.
It distracts us from actually connecting and going within. And like you wake up in the morning, when you woke up in the morning and you were able to examine your body the way you did. Mm-hmm. Some people can't do that because their minds are so clouded. So Frank, talk about how your focus has been able to just take you, truly lock in on waking up in the morning. All right, my first thought is I'm going to close my eyes, examine how I feel, examine where my body is. Talk about that health-wise, man, and how you connect with yourself, spiritually connected with your body as well.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, it's something that you do consistently, right? Just like we eat consistently, we drink consistently, we sleep consistently, When I mean consistently, we do it every day.
Correct.
So it's something that, what we call habits. You create a habit of doing that. And the habit of getting a benefit will continue. Then it actually just turns into a lifestyle, because habits can be negative too, that against it, but you're getting something out of it. So over time, the quickest way I've gotten there is realizing I didn't like the way I felt. And I was trying to do outwardly things like get better sleep, right? So good luck trying to lay down and saying go to sleep.
Correct.
Right? It's the opposite. But I would do these meditations. First, I would start out like 5 minutes. Just close my eyes. And I remember in the beginning, it was like 30 years ago when I started meditating. I was getting really...
7 years ago.
No, 30 years ago.
30 years ago you started meditating?
Yeah, I started meditating 30 years ago. Because it was just a lot going on in my life. And I ran into people. Now, when I run into people now and everyone out there, it's the universe trying to coordinate you to see what's happening. It's called synchronicity. Synchronicity happens whether or not you're aware of it or not. It's happening. It's how when I wake up in the morning, the sun's rising. Yeah. It's part of the organizing principle that this universe is made of. We're just aligning with it. So when I meditate, I go into a more neutral state. When I'm in the neutral state, then I have a better choice. Do I want to go this way? But if I jump off a building, my choice is the ground's going to end it. That's it. But if I'm on top of the building in a neutral state, I have a choice to take the elevator, take the stairway, or I still have the choice to jump if I want. But I know the outcome. But
that's powerful, Frank.
Yeah,
that's a powerful way of looking at that, man. Because you're right. When you're on the top of the building, you wanna get down.
Yeah,
you can either you have choices. You can either do it the quickest way possible, which is falling down and connecting to the ground, but that will end it.
Unless
that will
you're really
end your
good
life.
at parkour. It's like,
Right, parkour is different, but even those dudes are crazy, man.
But they understand the trajectory of the physics of the planet, so they move at a certain angle. They can do that, but
or
the purpose. Or
you can take an elevator, or you can take the stairs.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Wow.
And then so when you're in a neutral state, divvying up these choices will make sense based on keeping myself alive and continuing this experience. So, okay, if the elevators, I take the elevator, or I say, let me take stairs, I'll do some cardio. So whatever it is, get down there. And at the end of the day, when you realize getting to the ground floor is as fast as you can isn't the primary goal. It's just getting down to the floor. Now, if you want to move fastly based on the spirited that you're in, if you like a kid that runs fast, like when I was a kid, I used to like to run, but I wasn't trying to get anywhere anytime. It wasn't until I got to school and the guy pulled up the stopwatch. So, and then they're timing you. And all of a sudden, 4.440 makes sense. I'm like, why does it make sense?
Right.
Well, and all of a sudden you run into the clock, and that creates nervousness. It really does.
Yeah.
So then you try to beat the clock. But there are people out there that probably never did a stopwatch, never did anything. They're going faster than any NFL player or any track star. We just will never meet them.
Right.
Most likely they're probably in Africa somewhere. No, seriously. Because they just do it. Yeah. There's no measurement to it. Once we measure something to a degree, we actually slow it down. Because in the understanding of quantum physics, when you go to measure something, you lose some of the probabilities of the measurement. So if I measure my sleep, well, I'm losing sleep. But think about this. Say you're playing a sport, like basketball, it's fast moving. And if I keep looking up at the scoreboard, I'm missing out on the basket I could have shot. And I'm keeping score. Now, again, it's valid to the world, but if you just keep going and never look at the scoreboard, you're going to score more points.
Man, and for athletes, especially young athletes, man, if you truly want to become the best that you want to be, and the best that you can be in a sport, you play whatever, or you play basketball, football, or anything that has a timeline, your goal or the scoreboard, literally for you to become best at what you do.
Yeah.
In the arena, in the field.
Yeah.
Don't look at the time. Don't look at the at the score.
Yeah.
Because that only destroys your capacity and your athleticism as well, your full potential.
Yeah, it can add a little stress onto it. But there are athletes that train themselves, like Jordan was great at training himself this way. When you look at the scoreboard and you saw like they were down by 3 points or what have you, and there was like 10 seconds to go, he put his balls to the wall, if you will.
Correct.
And so it upgraded him. But then he wasn't no longer competing with the time. He went into his complete zone.
Right.
So he had the capacity to go into his zone like no other person.
Right.
So it worked for him, but most people, it makes them nervous and they go to take a shot and they miss.
Wow.
Which it was a shot they could have easily taken, easily made. I've seen it happen all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody was anywhere near him. No foul needed. Like they were taking a shot and they were inside the key and they took the shot and they just threw a brick because it was the time and then the buzzer goes off.
Man.
So and that's how life is. We're always measuring ourselves to try to get somewhere. But if you don't, somebody's seemingly always keeping score, like the universe, if you will. And what's the output of my score? It's not the outside world. It's how I feel. But if I feel great, move in a great position, and I keep moving and keep going, I'm going to get higher up the mountain to see more of the valley, and that's success. So when it comes to friendships, relationships, money, all that stuff, that will always show up. It cannot not show up. But if you're looking for all those things in order to get the feeling, you become a slave to that moment. And then that's what happens. It's a slave mentality.
Wow.
Because in order for me to be happy, I have to have this. And then someone tells you, okay, work really hard, you can do this. And you struggle and you do it. And some people actually can push through and get it. But now they got it and they're miserable. Why are they miserable? Because they were, okay, I worked 80 hours to get to the place where I'm a millionaire. Okay, that's great. Now the belief is I have to do that continuously for the rest of my life or I lose it. Until you buy into another belief, it says not. But the physics of it, if I worked 80 hours a week, say, that would, over a period of time, would make me a millionaire. That belief is what solidified it. That's the quantum field.
Yeah.
If I diminish my belief down to, say, if I work 40 hours a week, I could be a millionaire. I could have done it. It's like the 6-minute amps, right?
Yeah.
Right. If you believe the 6-minute amps will work, they will, to a degree.
Right.
The degree on how much you believe it. So why not utilize your beliefs to work for you? So again, going back to, I was told by a lot of people, meditation works.
Yeah.
So it was easy to believe into it. But when I first started meditating, like, this is more anxiety than it's worth. Because I would sit there, close my eyes, and my head was going crazy. So then I tried different methods. I remember trying to sit in a lotus position. My body, my hips are really tight. It was agonizing. Like 5 minutes in, it's like my lower back. And then one day, this is when the universe shows up. One day I walk into Barnes & Noble, and on the little, the bargain rack, when you walk in on the tables, there was a book that says how to meditate. So I'm like, okay, I'll pick this book. I've already read like 20 books on meditation. And when I opened the book up, the first chapter or first paragraph says, there is no right or wrong way to meditate. Wow. And I remember looking at it and laughing. I didn't even read the book. It's all I needed to hear. And so instinctively, we do this when we were children. I went back to what I did as a child, like going into a tree and sitting in the tree and just staring at a leaf. And then all of a sudden, boom, then the sun went down. Where'd it go? I was literally in that tree all day. And I wasn't with my friends. Obviously, they would distract me from that.
Correct.
All of a sudden, I fell into a meditative state. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know it was a meditation state.
Wow.
So I went back to that practice, just sitting there and maybe give my attention to sound from the house, like I could hear the refrigerator, which you normally can't hear.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you could feel this energy, this tenseness, this drop. And all of a sudden, now you feel like you're one with everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything magical. And I just sat there, and all of a sudden, I'm one with anything. Okay, now, okay, I'm ready to go. I want to go to the gym. Okay, and then have a great time. Because I'm telling myself I'm going to have a great time. You know, now it's like a kid going to the playground.
Wow.
But before it was like, well, going to the gym, you know, it's tiring. No, what's tiring is the conversation in your head.
Correct.
Not the gym. And so when you put that aside, you start to change your definitions. You actually wake up and get excited. And on the days you feel that you're not, change the script. You are the director, you're the writer, you're the producer of your film. But if you don't know that, you're then told by other people how to look, how to feel, you know, how to be. And again, I was there, so I know that. I can talk of that. And then I slowly stopped listening to people. I still did it, not to stand out, but I stopped listening. I didn't never felt captioned to, you know, I went to church every Sunday, but never felt like I could leave any time. Right. So, and I have nothing against religion. I think form of religion of understanding is great. Yeah. Because it is a form of focus. But if you think you have to have it, it's going to cause a problem. Right. But enjoy it. Your religion's going to work beautifully for you if you enjoy it. Just like working out. Right. If you hate working out, you're going to get hurt. Right. You know? So it's just getting into a state where you're more neutral, then you can start to change the definition of things around you, because the things around you are there as a mirror. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a difference, though. You know, there's a difference between religion and relationship. You know, it's like let's talk about when you say you started meditating 30 years ago, and you say you were going through some things. When you were going through something, were you seeking to meditate for you as a way of healing, or as a way of becoming the best version of yourself and stay in tune of how you were feeling? Oh, it was just healing process. What was the motive behind you seeking to learn how to meditate? It was to get the monster out of my head. It was just constant chatter. And I realized, okay, so 30 years ago, I would have been 27. All right. 27. That's a time where you're a young man. You're still trying to find your way in this world.
you going out. It's a crazy time of a young man.
It is, but it doesn't necessarily need to be, because the whole idea of trying to find yourself in this world is a concept that we bought into. Because I tell people right away when they have that, like, I don't, like, I'm trying to find myself. I'm like, well, stand up and walk towards yourself.
Well,
you can't.
But you can't work towards yourself if you can't see yourself yet.
But you can walk towards yourself because you are yourself.
Oh,
it's like being in Jeff's studio and trying to find Jeff's studio.
Yeah,
it's a conflict, and we create this distance because even though it appears we live in a duality world, it's a non-duality world. We are an image, like the image coming through us is like a movie projector. So let's just say, for argument's sake, my pineal gland is an activator of the antenna of the universe.
Right.
All right. So the antenna of the universe will draw down a light, and then my beliefs are filters. Like the negative of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have these beliefs I put into it. So as the light comes through that and comes through my eyes, I'm just showing it, and it comes through my eyes, I then see all the beliefs that are in front of me. Now all of a sudden,
so when at 27,
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, not at all. Not at all. I just found out last night.
What? No, but let's talk about, because at 27, it's a year where, like, it's easy to say now that walk towards yourself. You're already you. Like, you're already.
Yeah.
But at 27, like, let's revisit that time. Let's revisit the 27-year-old Frank.
Yeah, and in the culture we're in right now in the United States, and me growing up in New York, and it seems to be paramount.
You do sound New Yorker, man. You got that New York accent. Yeah. So you grew up in New York. You were born in New York.
Yeah, I was born in New York. I was born in Queens, Bayside, and I moved to Merrick when I was about 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I have very few memories of Queens.
Yeah,
it was only 20 minutes away, but nonetheless, where I grew up in Merrick was on the South Shore of Long Island, and it was a really nice place to grow up.
Yeah,
like 30-something miles outside Manhattan, but then I was like 10 minutes from Jones Beach.
Right.
So had woods that surrounded my house. It was just, what you think is a quintessential way to grow up. And then my childhood was very free. Like my parents had to keep a roof over our head and food on the table.
Correct.
But we were gone. Like, I remember even being like at a young age, just like getting my parents like, make sure you're home before the streetlights go on.
Because it was that dangerous back then.
Well, they just wanted us home.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. It seemed to be a safe place.
Right.
Although statistically, it's probably a lot more dangerous now because technology can ward off those things.
Correct.
But nonetheless.
Yeah. So
you go in and you're told your role, and this is the only role you have. You're told your role. Okay. You go through, so you're in your 20s, but the time you hit your late 20s, 30s, you have to start settling down. Now, I started settling down early. I was married at the age of 23.
Wow.
Yeah. So to my first wife.
Yeah.
I got a collection. We'll get over that. Oh, Karen doesn't eat this. Most people are car collectors. I'm just joking, Karen. I love you. You're the last one. I open my mouth. Yeah. So anyway, so you settle down and you run this script, but yet there's something internal in me that isn't the script. So every human being has a natural frequency, and one day, like we already know what it is. It's based on the frequency of your fingerprint.
Correct.
Because no one has the same fingerprint. So if you can record the fingerprint and sound frequency off that's your natural frequency. But then we have a myriad of frequencies within our system. It's not just that. Just like light, white light has a myriad of different colors when it hits a prism and breaks up into different fragments of different lights.
Yeah.
Everything from red all the way up to violet. So, but there's a signal frequency we have, and it's kind of the main script. And somehow we have to go back and remember that. But we don't, because we told us, but we know there's something wrong. Yeah. Because if you were lucky enough to do what you love to do, you wouldn't put on the brakes. Yeah. So I bought into that, and I was doing all this stuff, doing what society thinks is right, and it was weighing on me. And don't get me wrong, I didn't have it rough at all. I didn't really have it rough. So I'm not here to complain, but there was something nagging at me that I didn't like. So I started meditating because I didn't like this feeling. There was nothing to get rid of. Momentarily, I could go to the gym, I'd go on vacation, it would go away, but it would always return. Mm-hmm. Sometimes return even harder and heavier. Like I kept picking up this cross. So when I started meditating, I felt good. But then again, I can't sit on the couch all day and meditate. And then I've learned to take that feeling with me. And then I've learned later on that the word meditation means come familiar with. So when you sit on the couch and meditating, yes, it's easy, it's quiet. There's no one distraction. Mm-hmm. But the goal is to meditate when you're in traffic. The goal is to meditate when you're in the subway. That's come on. Like every athlete can shoot a hoop if there's no one around and get it in.
Right.
But put 5 other people on the other team in front of you and see how you do.
Yeah.
That's where the rubber meets the road. So meditating in a room, it's great. It's a good way to start, but that's not what we're here to do. Right. We're here to meditate. We're here to live the meditation.
Correct.
So if you can learn to do that, you don't have to run home and light a couple candles and put some music on and lock the kids in the other room so you can get a meditation.
Correct. You
can just do it as you're walking, and that's possible.
Yeah, and it's like the power of prayer, man. It's, the power of prayer is you don't have to go to church on Sunday to pray.
No.
You don't have to, wait until I come to my home, go to my room and pray. No, like you said, praying, you can do it when you're in traffic.
Yeah,
you can do it when you're walking.
Yeah.
You can do it any second, any time.
Yeah.
But you got to master that. You have to be able to tap into that, whenever.
And the best way to master is to accept or allow, allow wherever you are to be as it may.
Correct.
Because a lot of people are trying, like when I was meditating, I was using meditation to get out of that. It never worked. It never worked. But once I just said, what? I'm just going to sit here and just close my eyes and just let this go off. I wasn't trying to do anything with it. And all of a sudden I noticed my body settled down. And what I found out later is my brain frequency waves went from like a high beta all the way down to low beta into theta.
Correct.
And I'm not a scientist, so I read about that stuff, but I know what it feels like. And now I can control it. Correct. Now I got caught up in stuff, like when you work out, your heart rate goes up. Yeah. So I like to do this thing. I go to the gym and I measure my heart rate. I try to move as fast as I can where the heart rate might be up about like 120, and then I start to slowly breathe and slow my heart out, and I'm not slowing down.
Yeah.
And I can get my heart rate down to about 80. So I play this game where I'm controlling my heart rate, even though my physical movement is still going. So it's through the mind I'm doing it because I'm allowing. I believe I can do it. I don't know what my body's doing it. I really don't. But I know how it feels. And it becomes this intricate part of me that I always work on every day. It's never going to be done. Yeah. I'm never going to master it in the empirical understanding of mastering. But the mastery of doing it is amazing. It's like working out. I look forward to working out, not to reiterate what I did yesterday, but to try to do something different and see if I can get into a different setting, just like a kid going to the playground.
Always stay curious.
Yes, that's the most brilliant thing in the world is become childlike. Because children didn't know enough to know not to do a thing. They just did it. If the kid did something, fell, they either learned to balance better or just stay the hell away from it. But they didn't carry it with them.
Right.
They just let it go. Yeah. We carry everything.
Mm-hmm.
You look, I'm never going to do that again. I'm like, why? Well, 30 years ago, you still carrying that with you?
Yeah.
But yet, if you're bringing it up, it means you actually, at some empirical level, want to do it.
Wow.
Because if you wouldn't talk about it.
Correct.
So something's keeping you from doing it.
Yeah.
And this is not even about like a type of thing like getting over fear. It's not about getting over something. It's about doing what you love and want to do that you came here to do.
Wow.
And then get rid of those beliefs that are blocking you from doing it, period.
And those beliefs are the walls.
Yeah.
Those are what we called walls.
Yeah.
And what walls do is we just keep running into them. And you can't break them if...
Just put a door on the wall.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say, though, and this helped me out tremendously many years ago when I heard somebody say this. We are eternal, and we could come to grasp that. If you don't get in this lifetime, so what? Who cares? And people are like, why would you tell people that? Because it's taking the pressure off. And when you take the pressure off, you sell more baskets. You really do. So you can actually speed up. It's called the power of paradox. when I realized I have multiple lives to do this. If I'm an actor and I'm young, argument's sake, I'm going to do many movies.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this the best movie. I'm just trying to act. And over time, I'm going to get more intricate. And that's how it's going to be.
Right.
But will I ever become the best? I'm like, no. But that's not my goal anymore.
Wow.
So if you take the pressure off, then doing is so fun. And then you actually become a master of what you're doing to the degree in which you want.
Wow.
And it becomes better. So that's the power of paradox.
So and the power of working on what will benefit you, what will benefit the whole you, like yourself, like you as an individual.
Yeah.
Not what you plan to do or what you want to be. It's the you in this you.
Yeah. And I think, and that's the interesting thing about that is when you start to realize these principles, what really keeps us from what we're doing is we don't want to fail. And how can you fail if you're measuring?
Wow.
Right? So if somebody else can measure, that's fine. I don't care about that. When I measure, it slows me down because I have to stop to measure.
Yeah.
But if I keep going and stay in the flow, I'm in there, So, we have the ability to see where we're at, to see if we want to continue down this road or go a different direction. That is a keen awareness that humans have. So I'm not just saying, because we want to have as many experiences as possibly can in the time we're in.
Yeah.
But, you can't be like, oh, if I don't have 1,000 experiences, to argument's sake, my life is not worth living. Well, now you find out, you midlife and you only had 200. Like, well, why try? Why even try at that point? So now you're going to become lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So lazy people aren't stupid. They're actually smart based on the narrative belief they have.
Right.
But if you lift that belief, they would never be lazy.
They'll never be lazy.
No. Why would you do something you couldn't achieve? That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what makes you think you can't achieve it? And why do you need to achieve it?
Wow.
Just move towards it.
Yeah.
If you climb out Mount Everest and never make it to the top, who cares?
Yeah. And man, it's so crazy you said that because meditation is not easy to do. Some people can't even do it because they say, oh, my head is too busy to,
It's how they define meditation. So listen, if you define meditation to be difficult, it will be difficult.
Yeah.
So I tell people, be careful about defining it to be difficult. Because if you say it's going to be difficult, it will be difficult. But when I confront people, like in my coaching or even other clients, and they say, I can't meditate. I'm like, just do me a favor. Close your eyes. They close their eyes. And I'll say, have you ever been to Hawaii? No. Well, just picture yourself in Hawaii. You know what it looks like. They do. I'm like, do you ever watch any shows in Hawaii? Yeah. And all of a sudden, they drift to Hawaii. I'm like, open your eyes. You just meditated. You just created a field. You created an image that took you out of this place right here.
Yeah.
And what it did, it lowered your frequency. It made you change the way you feel.
And that's the power, man. That's the power of meditation and prayer and kind of keeping consistent with it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you meditate and you get to that level where you can picture it and have that realistic, like you feel it. It's energy forces that goes in your body. There's certain energy forces and frequencies that
align.
That are aligning in your body and you feel it physically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you don't get there until you fully focus on your inside, like how you feel within.
Yeah, I did the thing is I want to remind people, because this is the trouble I had early on.
Yeah.
Do not make meditation another process, or I shouldn't say another process, but another achievement that you have to do. Because it's one more thing you have to do. There's other people, I don't have time to meditate. What they're really saying is, I don't want another damn thing I have to do. I have to go to the gym, I have to go to work, I have to wash the car, I have to do all these things. Meditation should be something you have to do.
Yeah.
Like, like going to the beach and drinking a pina colada is not something you have to do.
Correct.
It's something you prefer to do.
You prefer to like to do.
So why, the question I'm asking myself every day when I'm in a situation with other people, why don't you prefer to do that?
I prefer to pray. I prefer to meditate.
Or anything.
Having that,
if people don't like their job, I'm like, why don't you like your job? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, ask yourself the question. It's the why question. And I don't have the answer, but by asking the why question, most people don't know why they don't like their job.
Wow.
And it has nothing to do with their job. It has to do with they feel they have no choice but to go to that job because now they're locked in because the job defines the living and keeping the household and stuff like that. And there's pragmatic things. I'm not saying do that, but as you loosen up your beliefs, guess what entrepreneurs do? They loosen their beliefs up because other people go work for other companies and governments. And nothing wrong with that either. I'm not saying there's wrong with it. But entrepreneurs loosen up will have a completely different belief than another person. Why? Because they don't live the way somebody would by working for somebody else. They work for themselves.
Right.
And so someone once asked me, he's like, oh my God, is it scary to work for yourself? I'm like, I think it would be scary for me working for somebody. But it doesn't mean my way is better than yours at all. Because there are challenges in being an entrepreneur where there wouldn't be if you work for somebody else. Wow. So there's no right or wrong here. It's how I feel about it. Yeah. But the world wants us to believe that if you're not working for yourself, if you're not doing it yourself, you're doing something wrong. And here's another thing to tell me I'm doing something wrong like they did in high school or elementary school.
And then that shuts your whole system down.
Yeah. Now is another thing I'm doing wrong. I can't even meditate for the love of God. Wow. I can't do that right. Oh my God. I'm like, no, you can't get it wrong other than the belief. So where like I really push this power of paradox. Get to the point where it doesn't matter how many points you score, but the power of paradox is you're going to lift the thing holds you back for scoring more baskets, so to speak. Yeah. Making more money. Yeah. So I'm not a proponent of, people not getting what they want, but they're trying to get it by chasing it. And that all that is out there is an illusion. And it's an illusion in the fact that it's not that it's not real. We just don't fully understand it. So it eludes us to what's actually happening. Wow. We're living in a holograph, if you will. So how do I change that? Close my eyes, I change the way I feel about that. And over time, that thing looks different to me. You and I could watch the same movie, read the same book, but we're going to get a different output. Why? Your filters are different than mine. We both may like it. Yeah. The movie and the book. But when I look at the book, now all of a sudden, what did you like about the book? And then you talk, I like this about the book. Oh, I never looked at it that way. Now all of a sudden, because I'm talking to you about the way you perceived it, I expanded my perception. Because that's what communication is for. If God only wanted one perception, one perceived notion, there would only be one human being. Right. So instead of me battling you, and like you tell me, I'm like, oh, I love the book this way. I'm like, well, that's weird. Yeah. But nonetheless, but it doesn't negate my way. Yeah. But a lot of times when you have this understanding, when somebody offers something up, it helps my world to expand. I'm like, oh, it's an interesting way of looking at it. I never thought about looking at it that way. Yeah. This is why there's a world full of people, but we try to think there is one way, there's one right way. There isn't. There is a way that's right in the moment for you in the moment which you're in, but then that will shift. There was things that were right for me when I was 18, but they don't hold true anymore. Because there's really only, the way I look at it, there's only 5 empirical truths.
What are they?
We exist. Can't do a damn thing about that.
We exist. And we can't do anything about it.
And now is the only time.
The second one. Yeah. Now is the only time.
The one is the all are the one. In other words, it's fractals. So, like, if you look at, like, the sun. Say the sun, just for argument's sake, has 8 billion sun rays coming down, representing each human being. All those rays are individual. You could see them individually, but yet they come from one source. Man. So if you blocked out the sun, the rays disappear. Yep. But the rays are extensions of the sun. So the one is the all other one. And then, so now we're on law 4, right? Yeah. What you put out is what you get back. Also commonly known as law of attraction. It's a physics. And
what you put out is what you attract.
Exactly. So how you believe about something, you'll experience it. So if you believe it's going to suck, it's going to suck. If you believe meditating's hard, it's going to be hard. So try to change it. Meditation, go from maybe meditation's hard, I can hardly do it, to maybe it's not that hard. Mm-hmm. Like going from it's hard to it's easy is also lying to your system.
And do you have to tell yourself that?
No, I just close my eyes and do it. No.
Oh, you just do it.
I just do it. I can do it in the car. I can do it right now.
Wow.
Watch. No, I was kidding. And then so the 5th law is change is the only constant except for the first 4 laws. Everything else
change is the only constant is change. Yeah.
Except for the first 4 laws remain without change. In that sense, how they are. Wow. So you got the 5 empirical laws. Everything else is just a sun ray expression on what's going on.
Yeah.
So if my sun ray is hitting a mountain, I think the mountain is my truth.
Wow.
It is, but it doesn't negate the lake for somebody else.
Correct.
So when we understand that, people argue, but there is a continuum of the one, and the one is the sun. But we seldom look back at it. How do you look back at the sun? Close your eyes. You become the sun.
Just like blue sleep.
Yep, you become it.
Become water.
You are the sun as well as a sun ray. And when you realize that, you realize, okay, the world we live in, the physical world we're experiencing, seems to be a duality, but it's really a non-duality world we live in.
Yeah.
But we play in it, just like actors that go in a set or a stage, they realize they're acting, but they're going to try to trick the audience.
Yep.
You know, you go to a play and they're on a stage and they have all wooden cutouts and stuff like that. And some point in the act, they get you to forget that you're looking at a stage. And when the scene ends, why do you clap? Because they fooled you. That's why you clapped. They were so good that you forgot that you were sitting in the front of a stage that's just a prop.
Yeah.
You go to a movie and it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it makes you do all these things, but you realize it's nothing but a modulation of pixels.
Right.
It's light. But yet it moves you inside. That's why we like it. It fooled us. It's an illusion, but it really existed emotionally.
Before it became physical.
Yeah, it was never physical.
It was never physical.
If you're in a movie theater and you stick your hand over the lens, the movie disappears from the screen.
Right.
It's gone. It's gone. So what is real? Like, well, scientists, the deeper they go into this thing, right now they're in trying to explain it through like quantum physics. And it's still not fully understood. Some people believe they will. But I think when they fully understand quantum physics, another science of explanation will explain it. That just seems how it goes. We'll never fully know what God is. Like gravity, right? Einstein kind of took Newton's theory and expelled upon it and understand how gravity works.
Yeah.
But Einstein still doesn't know, and no one knows why we have gravity. Oh, it's to keep us on the earth. Why do we need to be planted on the earth?
Yeah.
We don't know why it exists. We just know how it exists, and we know how to work within it because of how science. So science is very important.
Yeah.
I love it because it's an exploratory thing. But science into itself is an open-ended equation.
Right.
And we are all scientists.
Yep.
And we're all exploring.
Man.
But if you give up, so there's nothing to find anymore, it's just it. I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, what you do if you die, it's the next big bang. So you're waiting for the big bang. But why wait? Children don't wait.
Exactly.
Patience is for people that give up. I'm not a patient person. I want to be where I want to be. If I don't want to be there, I leave. I've learned to do that. I don't have
patience
is putting up with a situation that you deem you don't want to be there.
Wow.
That's how I define patience.
Yeah.
Anyone can define it differently.
So when you meditate, though, you got to learn patience.
No, I don't want to learn patience. I want to be there.
You want to be.
Oh my God! Like if you're making love to a beautiful woman, do you have to be patient? Don't think about that, Jeff. You want to be there. You don't want it to. You're doing it. You're in the midst of it.
But you got to be patient with the lady, though.
No. You have to get into a rhythm with the lady. When you get into a
rhythm and patience is different thing. Right?
Oh yeah, patience is putting up with it. Like patience is waiting in a line at the grocery store.
Right.
All right. Now you can be at the line at the grocery store and want to be there. It's like, okay, I'm here. So what? Give up. Someone's like, oh, I've heard this before, and I used to think this way. I don't do it anymore. But like you're at the grocery store, and all of a sudden there's a huge line, and someone comes up and they go, and they leave.
Yeah.
And the person mumbers next to me, oh, they're not patient. And then I'm thinking like, well, how long are you willing to wait here?
Yeah.
To be claimed to be patient. What happens if they close down the register?
Perspective.
Well, it is a different perspective. So what is patience? I'm like, patience is putting up with something to what degree? So how patient are you? Like, I want to be where I am at all times. So for all we know, the guy that just said left, well, he had to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather go home and confront the wife without the groceries than sit here all day. I'd rather do that.
Wow. So yeah, and the Bible talks about be still and know that.
Yeah, that's not patience. That's still.
So stillness and patience are two different things.
Two different things.
Explain how.
I could be still in a car doing 100 miles an hour. I could be ice cold still. All All right. I can be sitting in a chair that's not moving and be fidgety because I want to get out somewhere. That's be still, know I'm God.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with patience. Patience is putting up with a place that you want to be. Obligation, right? I'm obligated to say, well, everyone's doing it. But I tell people, get rid of obligation in your life. And they're like, well, if I get rid of obligation, I'm never going to see my parents again. I'm like, okay, ask the question, why don't you want to be with your parents? It's not an obligation problem. Like, yeah, what's the problem? Because everyone's trying to get somewhere else. They think they want to be somewhere that's better. There is no better place than now. And if you go with the flow, you'll every place you go is a place to be. There is no other place to be.
Wow. But
if you're racing, you miss out. And you're always on to the next thing. So you're not even involved in the conversation. So if you're with a woman and your mind's somewhere else, you're going to get yelled at.
Correct.
She's going to leave you.
Or she's going to slap you.
Yeah. What kind of women are you with?
Never got slapped.
Yeah. I ducked a couple of punches myself. That was a little foreplay, you know?
Wow. So being still and being patient is totally different because when you are still, when you are still, you are in a situation, and you are in a situation you either want to be in or don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And you just want to be still in that moment which you're already in. But being patient is being patient for you to be able to get to where you want to be instead of just going there and being there.
Yeah. And so that's how I define patience. And most people look at patience that way. So another way of looking at it is like if I go to the grocery store and it's a huge line, all right, I can either choose to, put my stuff back or just like, I don't need to be anywhere. And I could say, utilize the understanding is when I'm in a certain state, like people say this all the time, when they're rushing, they hit every red light on the way to work.
Right.
Or wherever appointment they have to get to. So when you hit, by the time you hit the third light, do this, like you're rushing.
Yeah.
Time you hit the third light, just sit there. And when you're sitting at the light, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out with your eyes open, please, because you drive your car, even though you stop.
Correct.
And then breathe out your mouth like 8. So you're going 4 in and 8 out. And all of a sudden you're gonna lower the brain waves, and all of a sudden you feel good. Who cares if you're late for the appointment, right? And when you put the power of paradox, you can time shift. You can actually speed up stuff.
Wow.
All right. Now I'm not saying look for it because people like, I go to the grocery store and I always get a front spot. And I'm like, if you're grading yourself on how good you are in getting a front spot, I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, if I get the front spot or if I get the spot all the way in the back, it's because the universe wants you to do more cardio that day. That's how I say it.
Wow.
I don't sit there and think, the universe is not working in my favor because I didn't get the front spot. It's not. The universe isn't there to yield you. The universe is teaching you what you want to learn.
Yeah.
So if I can be happy whether the parking spot's way in the back or up front, I win the game, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have conditions such as I need the front spot to win this game, it's a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to live unconditional lives.
Wow.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
But when we start setting conditions, we're half in the bag and half out. Like it's a mixed bag of game, and I don't play that game. Once
we start setting conditions, then we miss out on the whole thing.
If you take conditions out of your life, your lover will never leave. More money will come your way.
Yes.
It will. But the money that comes your way is referenced into what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you got to understand, Elon Musk needs $300 billion to get to Mars. That's what he needs. But if you're not going to Mars, you don't need $300 billion.
Right.
I'm going to get a sandwich right now. Well, the money in your pocket will cover that. So people misunderstand abundance as well. Abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it, not want. Wanting is something else.
Yeah.
We need to breathe. We need to drink water. We need to sleep. We need to eat. We need to shelter ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But once all these...
And we need to clean ourselves.
Yeah, once all these needs are met, then you can go into the field of wants. And then that's where imagination comes in. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and it's free, man.
Oh, my God. Like, imagining yourself, and I tell people, get into a state of imagine yourself you know, having everything you want coming to you. Just close your eyes and feel it. And then drop the picture of how, because we don't know how.
Yeah.
But hold on to the feeling and remind yourself of the feeling and stay in that state. All of a sudden, the universe will operate like a GPS operates.
Yeah.
If I tell the GPS, I want to go to, say, I want to go to LA. Mm-hmm. I want to go to Santa Monica Beach and go on the pier.
Yeah.
Okay, and just say, for argument's sake, I've never been there, so I'm really not familiar how I get there. So I put in the GPS Santa Monica Pier. So then if I get in my car and I don't do anything, the GPS doesn't help me. Wow. So now we have to take action.
Yeah.
Because I'll only take action if I believe it's there. So a lot of people imagine stuff, and imagining stuff creates a birth. But if you don't act it out, the baby becomes stillborn.
Wow.
So if I don't get in my car and drive, now when I drive, the car will say, okay, make a right outside the neighborhood, then I make a right. After I make the right, then it will give me another direction. And I make the other direction. If I keep fulfilling these directions, it will eventually get me to Santa Monica. Yeah. So our higher self has that, but we never do that. We imagine, we put, I want to go to Santa Monica, but we never get in a car and go. So I'm a little closer to Santa Monica. Yeah. So our imagination can heighten the attention, but if I know it's there, I'm going to go. But I don't know how to get there. Wow. No one knows how to get there.
Exactly.
It's just because he's never been there. Yeah. So, but just go, trust.
Just go. Just, book the ticket and go.
Just go. Now, I tell people to start out small. Right. Like not dire, right? So like easy, like, okay, imagine running into someone today that will bring up a certain topic. Mm-hmm. Picture it. They're walking you up in a familiar setting, maybe at the gym if you're at the gym or whatever. Yeah. All right. And then, okay, they do that. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, no big deal. It's still at the end of your life. Yeah. So you picture that. We did that with the orange. Remember that?
Yep, we did.
Yeah, remember that? And you know how many people we get comments?
Really?
Oh, it's funny. I told a story when I went to your house. Yeah. And then this guy was doing his job and he ran to a bushel of orange sitting on a curb. I call him Dan the Orange Man, like because he wrote into the podcast about that. Wow. And then, but I remember going to your house and doing that. So
you went to the house.
Let me tell the story. Yeah, so I went to your house and tell you about that, and all of a sudden, I tell you, close your eyes, feel the orange, and obviously Jeff didn't have an orange; he's just imagining it. All right, feel the texture. Now open it, like see the little spritz coming out, smell the fragrance. Now completely peel it and put the orange in your mouth. All right, does all that stuff. Okay, open your eyes. I said, in some near future, you're going to run into oranges. Yeah. So then I was at Jeff's house, and he's like, oh, the reason I called you over here is I want to do a little podcast with you. I'm like, okay. So he's like, we're going outside, and we're going to do the tree of life. The tree of life was an orange tree. We can't make this shit up.
and a whole lot of oranges was on that tree.
So when you do this, I'm not saying anyone could go to the grocery store and find oranges.
And you didn't know that there was an orange tree in my house.
No.
And the fact that you mentioned that, I was like, oh shoot, let me see. I bet he doesn't know that I have a whole orange tree.
No, I've never seen your backyard, so I didn't know that. So, but that was a synchronistic moment. So what this synchronistic moment tells me isn't anything grand. It just tells me I'm in the right state, I'm in the right flow, keep going. Yeah. That's all synchronicity does. Wow. So
so what that means is that, for those who doesn't get that, it's what they call deja vu. A lot of people call those little moments deja vu when all of a sudden what you pictured and what you imagined.
Well, deja vu is a very interesting thing, because actually I had somebody ask me about this. Yeah. So deja vu is, whenever we experience something, it's always in the past. So right now the words coming out are past in the frequency that's coming through my head. So the words are literally in the past. Yeah. Deja vu is saying a word, but you witnessed it prior to coming out of my mouth at the same time. That's meeting the past and the present at the same time. We seldom do that. But when we do that, like I've been here before, I'm like, no, the camera, you made it before the camera showed up. That's what happens. That's what deja vu is. It's a very interesting thing. It happened to me a lot when I was a child. Yeah. It's been a while since it happened. Really? Yeah. But when I'm experiencing this right now, every word coming out of my mouth is past history. Wow. Because some energy had to come out, an energy field, And then because I know the English language, barely, it then translates. So when the song comes to the radio, it's already past history. The time it hits my ear. But deja vu it's happening in the instant moment when it was created.
And it's crazy because everything just aligns to that moment. It's like, whoa, did I been here? Was that it? You know, so it's super crazy, Frank. You know what I mean? And it's truly a privilege, you know, to have you on this podcast.
It's fun. I love talking about this stuff, and I love laughing. I love having a good time. So whatever it's doing, I show up and do that. And when I don't show up, I take myself aside and smack myself in the face. That's a method.
Man. But it's so crazy because you pictured and you actually stayed out. You know, while you were teaching that to people about the orange tree. You literally picture that and put it in your mind and you embody that. And literally, when you came and you taught that to me, you didn't know that you're gonna see abundant, so many oranges after that.
I didn't know. That's what. So listen. So whether we got an orange or not was not a big deal in the way we define things. All right. So the universe looks at a button or a castle the same. But we don't, and it's for good reason. All right. I don't want a box full of castles. I like the castle to be unique. All right. But when you could get into a meditative state to get something that you want to experience and you start getting them, you realize it's not so much the thing. It's the manifestation, but it's the manifesting that I like. It's the ability to manifest, not the thing onto itself. That's the brilliance. That's where the true scientists come out. Like they've discovered something. Someone builds a car for the integrity of the process of it, but not the car itself. Somebody else will then take the car and race it for the process. It's where life is here. We create these things for the process. So it's like I have a long way to go before I'm like good, because you're gonna have a great process. The greatest processes span millennia. They don't. A simple process of making a peanut butter sandwich gets you nowhere. Gets you from being hungry to full. But the ones that take time, like courting a woman or, becoming friends, it's like to truly get friends. That takes, but I don't care, because the more I get to know you, the more I get to know you. Like, it's like, okay, we have to be friends in 2 hours. Okay, we're friends. Right there, I'm like, I accomplished something. No. I'm not trying to get it over. A kid doesn't have a playground to end it.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, the streetlights come on. I'm like, holy shit, I better get home before I get my ass kicked. And that's how life is supposed to be lived. In the moment, and you get lost in it. And even biologists are studying this, which is interesting. When I get lost in the moment, even though someone is keeping score of time, my biology, say 8 hours of work and they only tell 2, my biology only aged 2 hours. So they're even able to show us that, which is interesting. And I don't care about that. I just care about the moments I'm in.
That's so crazy, man. That'll do for today, my brother. What a great topic to talk about. I'm pretty sure that I will use what you shared with me today, man. And especially tapping into my powerful stuff is by exercise, doing practices of meditation and prayer, actually having that as just like a drink of water,
drink of water is a meditation.
Like
I tell people, like, if you drink water with your right hand, do it with your left hand. And it's really interesting,
man.
All of a sudden it changes. So then you have to be present to drink with your left hand if you're righty.
Exactly.
When you're righty, you don't even know you grabbed the water and drank it. So just little things like that are the greatest things that they can live. You're driving a car, notice the fabric on your steering wheel.
Yes, sir.
That's it. And you're in the moment.
Man. I appreciate you, Frank.
I appreciate you, man. All right, man.
And thank you all for watching, guys. Now remember, these are fit and fun cards if you want to if you're traveling and you don't have a gym to go to, open these cards up, pick 5, do those exercises wherever you are, with no equipment needed at all, or for minimum equipment like resistance bands. You can use these cards to maintain your fitness and your health on point.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like what I like about what you do with the cards, because it's spontaneous. Because when you open the card, you don't know what you're going to do. You actually have a better workout.
But if
you already okay, I'm doing chest, I'm going to do this exact workout and do this. By the time I get to the gym, it's a fail.
Exactly. You're probably going to half-ass it.
Yeah. So when I go to the gym now, I have somebody set my program. I go, I don't look at it until I get to the gym, and I'm like, damn, I should have stayed home.
But these cards,
they promote that. So we actually stay in the moment of spontaneity. We have a greater experience than if we do the preempt experience.
And these cards help you be in the moment in your fitness.
Because you got to shuffle.
Yeah, and you don't know what's coming. No. So, and whatever you pull, you got to do that card regardless. You won't think twice about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you always look for the. Yeah. He has a Netflix card there. So you told that you just watch Netflix.
So these cards, you can purchase them at jtsfit.com, and or you can message me. I'll put my information down on the description below. But I recommend this if you're really trying to stay in shape and also enjoy working out, enjoy exercise. Exercise is it's a pretty important part of our lives, and I think it's important to have that mindset of continuously just pushing to better yourself.
Yeah,
your physical, mental, and emotional. And meditation is one of the greatest things that you can also learn. And I'll put Frank's information here.
But even like doing a hard workout is a form of meditation.
Exactly.
Because if you're doing something rigorous, you're not thinking.
Yeah.
You're just in the moment.
You're just in the moment.
You might be praying to God more a little bit, like, oh God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But there's something about that that they're studying a lot about putting yourself in situations where anything you're worried about is gone. Yeah. It's gone. So that's why we like to work out.
Absolutely. Brother Frank.
All right.
Got it. That dude's.
All right.
Thank you, man.
You got it. Okay.